We are now 1/3 of the way through the EFL Championship season and the promotion race is kicking off. There are so many teams involved fighting for the top 2 and fighting for the top 6. In the most recent set of fixtures, we saw Leeds United take down Leicester City, Ipswich Town dropping points, Southampton keeping up their good form, West Bromwich Albion staying in 5th place, Preston moving into 6th place, and lots going on just outside the playoff picture as well. Today, we're going to break it down and see who could be going up to the Premier League this season. Before we dive into the promotion race and all the teams involved in it, do make sure, of course, to drop a like on this video. It is free to do. We'll go for 699 likes, random target, but let's see if we can hit it. Hit the thumbs up button. It is free to do. Also, make sure you are subscribed. Once again, it's free to subscribe, and if you're not already subscribed whilst watching this, make sure to hit that subscribe button as we're trying to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. With all that said and done, let's talk about the teams. Let's start by just focusing at the top of the table. As you can see, despite Leicester City losing to Leeds United, an incredible amount of points picked up after 15 games. 39 points. If they were to carry that on, we all know that would get them a ridiculous amount of points this season. Ipswich Town also flying. But the fascinating thing is, it was the first time in a long time that those two both dropped points. And in the same weekend, 3rd place Leeds United got maximum points, 4th place Southampton got maximum points. So if you are a Leeds United or a Southampton fan, or even a fan of chaos, then it was the perfect weekend for you, because the gap has narrowed a little bit. It is worth pointing out though, Ipswich Town do still have that game in hand against Rotherham, which is actually being played out this week. If Ipswich Town go away to the New York Stadium and pick up maximum points, then the gap between 2nd and 3rd will be 10 points again. A little bit further down you find West Bromwich Albion, who are flying. They're in really good form, and as you can see, only just behind Southampton and Leeds United. We're going to have to keep an eye on West Brom. Their form is really good, but they have got some very difficult games coming. If West Bromwich Albion were able to keep this form up until Christmas, then maybe we could also include them in a top 2 argument. But for now, a top 6 finish for West Bromwich Albion looks very possible. Carlos Corberan's a good manager and they are picking up the results. Preston North End, they climbed back into the top 6 with a win over Coventry at the weekend. Preston North End had been in really poor form before that win, but this win has now put them back into the top 6 with lots of teams around them drawing and losing in the weekend's results. This is all down to Preston North End's strong start to the season. They picked up a ridiculous amount of points in the first 6-7 games, and despite a really poor run where they didn't win for ages, one win and they're back in the equation. Just goes to show how much a strong start can help you. And then just outside the playoff picture, you've got the likes of Cardiff City, Sunderland, Hull City, Blackburn, Bristol City, Middlesbrough, Stoke City and Swansea City. All these teams are just a handful of points away from the top 6 conversation. So we're going to involve everyone down to 18th today. I know that means we're not touching on Plymouth Argyle, Coventry City and the 3 teams in the bottom 3. First of all, the 3 teams in the bottom 3, I cannot see them being involved in a top 6 conversation at all. As for Coventry City and Plymouth, possibly they could be involved, but right now they need to work on getting away from the bottom ends of the table. And for me personally, it just really hurts to talk about Coventry City, so I'm going to try and exclude them from today's video. So like I say, we're looking from 1st down to 18th. One thing I wanted to point out in today's video is let's go back to this stage of last season and see how different things were. Well, after 15-16 games last year, you could see Queen's Park Rangers were top of the league, Blackburn were in 2nd place, and then you had Burnley, Sheffield United, Luton Town and Norwich City in the playoffs. The reason I'm pointing this out is because things can change so much. We've only played 1/3 of the current season, and if you see here, this is where those teams went on to finish come the end of that season. Queen's Park Rangers in 20th place, Blackburn in 7th, Burnley and Sheffield United moved on up into that top 2, along with Luton into 3rd place. And as you can see, Norwich and Swansea also finished lower than where they were at this stage last season. So, like I say, things can change a lot in the EFL Championship. It's one of the most unpredictable leagues in the world, and there's still 2/3 of the season to go. Now, going back to this season's table, that's not me saying I don't think Leicester are going up, I think Ipswich are going to fall off. I don't think that's going to happen. Look at the points these two have got on the board. For me, I think Leicester City will probably win the league. If they don't, I think they get 2nd place. Ipswich Town, I think they've got a very strong chance of getting top 2, and at this rate, I'd say a minimum of playoffs this season. But a lot can change in the Championship, like I said, so maybe don't get too carried away if your team's having a good run at the moment, and also don't get too downbeat if your team's on a poor run at the moment. Coventry fans. So, like I said, a lot can change in the EFL Championship. Do feel free to comment down below where you think your team's going to finish come the end of the season. The next thing I wanted to look at is the form table. We're going to look at the EFL Championship form table over the last 6 games for all 24 teams here. And you can see in the top 18, Leicester City have the best form over the last 6 games. Leeds United actually have the second best form over the last 6 games. Then it's Ipswich Town in 3rd place, which does suggest to me that these 3 teams, if they keep their form up, won't move a lot over the next few weeks or maybe the next couple months. Maybe between them, 1 or 2 of them could swap places. But I think these 3 at the moment are really setting the standard. Closely followed by Southampton, who are 4th in the table and 4th in the form table. They did have that wobbly patch, but just seem to be getting the wins over the line now. It does seem to me that Russell Martin just needed a couple of games to get things going, and now they're finding ways to win these games, especially on the road, especially with the late goals. These points are crucial, and if Southampton keep up this good form, maybe they're going to be involved in the top 2 conversation as well. As you can see, West Bromwich Albion in 5th place have the 6th best form over the last 6 games, which does suggest they deserve to be where they are, especially over the last couple of games. But below them, it starts to get interesting. Preston North End have the 19th best form in the league over the last 6 games. I know we said they beat Coventry City in the most recent game, and that might be a platform to go off to win the next couple of games, but before that their form hadn't been very good. Cardiff City, their form over the last 6 has been like a mid-table teams, same as Sunderland, same as Hull City. Blackburn are trending in the right direction over the last 6 games. Bristol City have been pretty solid, churning out a couple wins here and there. Middlesbrough for me though are the team you really need to keep an eye on here. As you can see, they're in 12th place, but the 5th best form in the league over the last 6 games. Middlesbrough certainly moving in the right direction. Then you've got Stoke City and Swansea City have been collecting some good results over the last 6 games. And then it's Birmingham City, Watford, Norwich and Millwall. Norwich City in particular, their form is not good whatsoever. They are certainly heading in the wrong direction and they've got some difficult games coming. If you support a team in the Championship, do let me know your thoughts on your team's current form at the moment and how many points you reckon you're going to churn out in the next couple games. Let's move on to the next thing then, which is the bookmakers' current Championship table predictions for the end of the season. Not a lot of movement here. Let's start at the top. The bookmakers think Leicester City win the league. Ipswich Town finish 2nd, Leeds United and Southampton stay 3rd and 4th, and West Bromwich Albion stay 5th. They then reckon Preston fall down to mid-table, Cardiff and Sunderland swap places, Hull City and Blackburn stay in 9th and 10th, Bristol City move down the table, but Middlesbrough, the biggest movers in the bookmakers' predictions for the end of the season, going up 6 places from being currently in 12th place up to a 6th place finish come the end of the season. After that, the bookmakers reckon Stoke City finish where they are now, Swansea City and Birmingham City are forecast to finish lower than where they are right now. Watford and Norwich City are forecast to improve and Millwall to stay where they are in 18th place. Like I say, also share your thoughts on the bookmakers' predictions. Do you think they could be accurate come the end of the season, or do you think they're way off with your team? The final piece of the jigsaw, the final thing we're going to look at today is the next few fixtures. We're just going to focus in on the next 5 games that take us up towards the middle of December. And this is a table that ranks these 18 teams on who has the easiest fixtures to the most difficult fixtures. Now, like I've said before, I don't think there is such thing as an easy fixture in the Championship, but if you had the choice of playing 5 teams from the top half or 5 teams from the bottom half in your next 5 games, I think I know what you're going to choose. Having looked at everyone's next 5 fixtures taking us up to the middle of December, showing everyone's average opposition placing over the next 5 games from easiest down to hardest, and as you can see, Hull City, Stoke City, Birmingham City, Ipswich Town, these teams have so-called easier fixtures than the teams below them. Hull City in particular, their next 5 fixtures are all against teams in the bottom half. 3 of them are against 3 of the bottom 4. So there's a massive opportunity here for the likes of Hull City, Stoke City, Birmingham City to really make some advances up the table. It is interesting when you look at the top 3 teams. Ipswich Town supposedly have the slightly easiest fixtures, Leeds United next. This shows Leicester City, out of the current top 3 in the Championship, have harder fixtures than the other 2 teams chasing them down. Down near the bottom of this little table, you can see Cardiff City, Middlesbrough and West Bromwich Albion all have some difficult games coming. West Bromwich Albion in particular, their next 5 games are all against teams in the top 8. 3 of them are against the top 4. There's some difficult games here for West Brom. Middlesbrough as well have some very difficult games in the next 5. 4 of their next 5 are playoff teams currently in the top 6, and it includes Leeds United, Ipswich Town and Leicester City. This is going to be a real good test for Michael Carrick's Middlesbrough. So then that completes the stats and numbers from today. What can I take away from it? What are my conclusions from today? Ultimately, I think when we get to Christmas, Leicester will still be first, Ipswich will still be second, and Leeds United will still be third. All three of them are in great form. All three of them have pretty similar fixtures, really, up until Christmas. I could possibly see a little bit of movement in terms of the gaps between the teams based on points. Leeds United could possibly close Ipswich Town down, but do remember, Ipswich have a game in hand to extend the gap again. But by Christmas, I think they will still be 1, 2 and 3. Possibly after Christmas, things could move a bit more drastically. West Bromwich Albion and Middlesbrough for me look like strong teams that I think could finish in the playoffs, and they're in good form at the moment, but their next couple of games suggest it's going to be difficult for them to maintain their level of form. I could possibly see some points being dropped by either of these sides in the run up till Christmas, but ultimately I still think they'll have good seasons, and that's not to say that they can't win loads of their next few games, but ultimately they are the toughest fixtures you're going to get in the Championship. With Hull City and Stoke City both sitting around mid-table at the moment, but with favourable fixtures coming and in decent form, I think Hull City and Stoke City might both be higher than where they currently are now when we get to Christmas. I'm also going to say I think Birmingham City might improve on their place over the next coming weeks. They did get their first point under Wayne Rooney against Ipswich Town, not an easy team to beat, and they did go 2-0 up in that game. Yes, there will be frustrations that they didn't win it, but I think the first win for Wayne Rooney is just around the corner, and I do think they could be a little bit higher up the table when we get to Christmas. I think Blackburn Rovers, Swansea City and Bristol City will all stay pretty much where they are between now and Christmas. There could be a little bit of movement up or down the table, but ultimately they're all looking pretty good, and they've got some pretty mixed fixtures in there, which makes me think there might not be a lot of movement. They might stay around mid-table, possibly moving up a couple places. And finally, down near the bottom of the table, we have our big underperformers, Norwich City, Watford, Millwall and Coventry. I expect most of them, maybe not all of them, let's say 3 out of 4 of them, to climb the table between now and Christmas. I'm mainly putting that down to the fact you can't move a lot lower down the table than where they currently are now. Yes, of course, they could drop into the bottom 3, but I think with the likes of Norwich, Watford, Millwall and Coventry, we could see some improvement between now and Christmas. So then that wraps up today's video. That was a deep dive into the promotion race. As I say, it's really kicking off in the playoff race, and the gap between the top 2 and Leeds United and Southampton certainly did close over the previous weekend. Do share your thoughts down below. Let me know who you support, who you think's going to finish where, and what's going to happen between now and Christmas and between now and the end of the season. If you enjoyed the video, do make sure to drop a like. Do also make sure you are subscribed to the channel, as it's free to do and your support is really appreciated. We will see you all in the next video. Peace out.